Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and today I'm playing along with Crystal Barrett and her off the board with pineapple papers. So that's where we go to Pinterest and we choose one of our inspirations and we create it. And this is the one that I've done for this month, and it's a scrappy chick layout. And I have had it on my board forever because I believe that's a 2013 or even 2014 layout that she has done. So I am going to finally get it off my board and onto a layout that is going to go into one of my albums. Now I'm using a whole lot of leftover papers, and I've trimmed them to 2 inches by 8 3/4 in length, and that's so that I can layer them across the layout. So this one here I'm making into the full banner that you saw on that layout, and the rest I'm just going to have in behind my photo. Now I am inking them all up with the scorched timber because I want to lift them off that background, and that gives it a smoky, distressed look around the edges, and it's dark enough that it gets those colours working together. Now I'm showing you how I've done this. Normally I would go off screen, but some people have said they'd like to see the full process, so that's what I'm doing here. And I always like to ink the edges because it just adds that extra bit of definition into your layouts. Sometimes I forget to do it, and then I look back at it and I think, oh, I should have done that. And it often happens when I'm sitting with my friend scrapping, whereas she will always distress the edges of her things, and then I look at mine when I don't do it and I think, oh, it just needed that finishing off. So I have these thin strips here which are leftover pieces that I've cut off at the branding strips, and I'm using those to be the horizontals on this layout on which the photo will land, and you'll see that as we progress through the layout. So I'm doing 3. The main one that I'm lifting from, she only had 1 strip running across hers. Now I'm just going to quickly tape these up. I use double-sided tape on both sides of the piece of paper so that it does go down and is adhered nicely. Now one day maybe I might use an ATG. I don't think so. I've used tape runners. I haven't been impressed, so I keep to my double-sided tape. I know that it works and I like it. And I'm just, as I said, got this one here that needs to be a full banner. I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off so that it does fit within the frame beautifully. I'm going to ink up the edge of the outside one, and the inside one, as you can see, my paper is just short, but that's okay because my embellishments will cover over the top of that. I really do need a new blade. So I'm putting this down now, and that's going to sit at the top, and then there will be a space, but that will get covered by embellishment, so it all works in the end. And now I can start constructing this layout. It is a simple design, but as you can see, it's a lot of prep work getting ready to start this layout off. Now for the corners, I'm going to use this blue dotted paper. It is a leftover Vicky Booten one, and I'm going to actually turn it over to the striped sides because I don't want to introduce any more patterns into the layout. I want to dull down some of them, and by using the pinstripes that allows that to happen. So I'm just going to smoke up the edges so that they stick out over the edge of the layout and up off that background. And you can see that the 2 bottom ones I'll put into place straight away, and I'll save the top ones until I'm completed the layout, just as Scrappy Chick did on hers when she did her layout. So I've gone with blues and pinks and greens and blacks, and that's to relate to my photo. She went more with the deep mahoganies and burgundies and blacks to match her photos. So they are the same pretty much in layout, but because of the colouring, they look so very different when you see them together. So just layering it up, making sure that I'm getting my strips down in the right spot. She had this one that went right up to the top, and the corner cuts the top of it and makes it sit nicely into the layout, whereas this one is dropped down lower, and that's how I build from there. And you can see that I'll layer them on top of and underneath, and I will stagger the gaps from top and bottom as well. and this one here was not as long as the other pieces, so I'm just cut it in half, and that's okay because the photo will cover up where that gap is as well. So that's how you can extend your stash, particularly if you are using up scraps, leftovers and things like that on your layout, so that you're not cutting into full 12 by 12s for a layout that requires just layering of strips of paper. And I'm just putting in my patterns, making sure that they all go in on top of each other and under each other where needed. And it doesn't matter that the pinks are all piling together, because that blue is going to break it up in a moment, and then the photo will go over the top. So you can see that there is that break. I'm going to put in the corners now because I can, because I've laid down the base work, and that just finishes it off. And I like a page with a picture corner. I think it's a nice finish to the edge of your paper, and it finishes your whole layout nicely. So that's how the strips are laid, and that's how easily they come together. And the other bit about that lined up piece there, it allowed me to get the horizontal into the right spot because it just lined up with the edge of that banner. And I'm just putting the sculpt edge one in just so that it's finished and it doesn't look like it's just sitting there in the middle for no reason. Now this photo was taken of my children, way back, I think maybe 2015, possibly. Yeah, 2015, 2014, something like that. I'd have to go and check for the dates. It was April. It was the end of autumn, and this is how tricky the weather is, that we look like we're having a great day there. It's nice and summery there, nice sun. I can tell you, we went there, we did that part of the day, and then we went up further up the mountain just a little bit more to have afternoon tea, and the temperature dropped 20 degrees in 10 minutes. So what was a really nice hot day ended up being absolutely freezing and almost sleeting. It was just phenomenal how quickly the weather changed in the mountains that day. So this photo is of the three girls and Owen. Patrick at the time was working, so he wasn't with us, and we had a great time up there exploring the Three Sisters and going through Katoomba. Alright, so now that I have the photo in place and all of the pieces, I'm just going to start the embellishment process. I have just fussy cut some flowers from papers, and they're the colours that are in the photo. I'm adding in a camera, a couple of tags. I'm also going to add in a calendar piece for that big space behind, which you can see here, and then I can put that all down and put it together to build up that space where I was short with the pink checks, or the pink gingham, as you can see there. And these tags are perfect size, they don't overpower, they just complement nicely. I'm going to put in the camera to fill in the rest of that gap there. Just contemplating getting some foam tape because I want it to pop up off there and add that extra dimension. So you can see how that cluster there has now just filled that gap. I'm putting the little heart over to the side where she had a big black button, and then I'm putting the flowers here, and she had one big three-dimensional flower there. I'm putting 3 paper ones and popping one up to give it that depth. In behind that, I'm tucking in the leaves, and then that finishes off that floral cluster just there to the side. And I'm loving how all the colours reflect the colours of the photo, and that is how the photo pops off that background. You can see the darker with the clothing, you can see the green through the shrubbery, and you can see the pinks from the clothing as well, and the cobblestones of the pathway. So altogether this is coming together as a nice colour combination, that complementary using up of all your scraps and pieces of paper that you have lying around. It's a great way of using them up and putting them together into an active layout. Now I'm just looking at this layout, and I know that I'm not happy, and you can see me because I'm starting to fiddle with it, and I'm thinking there's something missing and I'm really not sure what it is. And in the end I get my black pen and I add in some faux stitching onto those photo corners on the page, just to give it a little bit of a finishing touch, and that's important because that already makes it pop just that little bit more by putting in those faux stitched dotted lines. And off screen I do put a little bit of journaling. I'm now going around the banner, as you can see here, and that's going to make it pop up off that background even more and give it a little bit more definition. And I like how that's made a big difference already, and I didn't really have to try very hard to do that. And then I put in some faux stitching around the circle that I tucked over to the right, and that was to bring that black colour across the layout to draw your eye across, and you can see how that's all come together. Now I also added some Nuvo drops off side and also some buttons, you can see there, just to finish it off and marry up. Thanks everyone for watching. There is a full playlist down below. Check out all the other plays for this off the board with pineapple papers, and thanks very much for watching. Happy scrapping till next time.